So for today's introduction of our critique on our research, we are doing it on pedagogical content knowledge within teaching elementary physical education. We are within the institution of MSU Denver, also known as Metropolitan State University. And my name is Cody Ingraham.
And I'm Chris Burdick.
Hi, I'm Sean Linger.
And our corresponding author is Dr. Yu, our professor. And within this content, we're going to be discussing for pedagogical content knowledge used in elementary PE. We're going to be discussing the purposes, methods, major findings, strengths and benefits, limitations of the study, and also suggestions and discussions that we could have.
All right, let's get into the introduction of the study. Teachers must have pedagogical content knowledge, also known as PCK, before teaching any subject. You might be asking why. It is important for the students. We'll get into that further along the way. In PE, there are effective, also known as high common knowledge, and ineffective, also known as low common knowledge teachings. The study helped show research is minimal for examining and observing pre-service teachers, PCK, within PET in elementary school settings. The purpose, why? Pedagogical content knowledge, PCK, is shown and displayed by teachers, which is measurable and observable. We love that. That's how we get better as teachers. So that's fantastic. We will be examining how pre-service teachers enact PCK, which is defined by task selections, task representations, task adaptations, use of instructional tasks. These differ as a function of content knowledge, CK, developed within their elementary physical education curriculum. Our methods, how did we do this? So we're going to go over our participants, the context, as well as our data collection and analysis. Participants, who are they? We'll start with the author. In-Suk Kim is a physical education and sports performance. He's in there with the Kent State University located in Ohio. We had 21 pre-service teachers, all between the age of 21 to 30, enrolled in the elementary physical education content course. These participants have 3 common knowledge levels. High, they know the content very well. Medium, they somewhat know it. And low, they do not know the content. They were identified from the results of common knowledge tests, the course requirement, and use of independent variables. As you can see, found on table 1, we go over the number of participants, our teaching exemplars, and focus teaching content by groups. Left-hand side, the participants, we have high content knowledge, which is 7 of the teachers. We had medium, that's somewhat know at 8, and then low is 6. Teaching exemplars were 12, 12, 12, and we'll go over one of the focus content knowledge. We will do the throwing, catching, and rolling. So we only had 3 teachers with high content knowledge. Not so good, especially with 6 teachers in the low content knowledge area.
And now we'll get into the context. Like we mentioned, this was covering 21 pre-service teachers. It took place at Kent State, a Midwestern university. And the instructor was the one, observing this information, and he was kind of running and investigating the course. So the class consisted of 6 to 8 classroom lectures, 8 to 10 peer teachings where the teachers were teaching amongst their classmates, and then 8 to 10 field experiences with a mentor teacher in elementary physical education. They did about 4 to 5 peer teachings as well, where they kind of fine-tuned, or mentor teachings. They fine-tuned their peer teachings after they were given their feedback and cleaned everything up. So the lectures consisted of handouts, class discussions, presentations, a lot of terminology, content, skill proficiency, and teaching cues. And the peer teachings, they were teaching out a application in the classroom setting, practice, their backwards planning with their lesson plan, and then their field experiences with their mentor teachers. They were, like I said, fine-tuning those peer teachings they did with their classmates, building connections. They were going over the locomotor movements that we touched on in the study, and they developed appropriate practice. So more context. The teaching examples used, as we touched on, where they'll go through how to hand dribbling and shooting, throwing, catching, and rolling, and then the foot dribbling, passing, and shooting, followed by jump rope. So with these teachings, they're being measured on their common content knowledge and their specialized content knowledge, CCK and SCK. So breaking those down, common content knowledge is the gameplay, game rules, concepts, safety, techniques, tactics, etiquette, and the terminology of those activities. And then the specialized content knowledge, SCK, is the knowledge of errors, making those corrections, instructional tasks, task representations needed for teaching CCK. So here's our graph with our data collection. As you can see, going across the top, it has the high content knowledge, followed by the medium content knowledge, low content knowledge, and then the totals there. So for task selections, you can see listed here is the 94%, and then followed down with the task representations was at 84%, task adaptions 87%, and so forth. So you can see how they're applying these tasks, refining them, and the rates. So the major findings from this study, it helped display and really with that data break down the importance and significance of the role in our content knowledge and our pedagogical content knowledge and development. The use of instructional tasks also plays a huge role in teaching elementary content with the PEAT program, but it was just really cool to see, through these studies as they progress through the role that this content knowledge has on being a successful PE teacher.
And with that all being said, we are now going to be discussing the strengths and benefits of the study. So when learning how there are high, medium, and low levels of content knowledge within teachers, it's going to be good to have these pre-service teachers going into their profession and actually being recorded and videotaped, so that way they can have a moment to reflect on how they handle these situations in their teaching of elementary content for their best teaching performances. That's what we're looking for here. The linear relationships between content knowledge and pedagogical content knowledge is definitely evidenced by in-service PE teachers in the current study to see how these pre-service teachers can adapt through different types of instructional tasks within the elementary setting. And with that being said, moving along with this critique in the study, some of the limitations are, even though there's pre-service teachers and they're still learning about what they need to perform in the field, they're going to be learning along the way in their own profession as well, once they continue to be a teacher later in life. So it's always going to be making sure they're extending tasks, refining tasks, and applying tasks, and then making sure the instructional tasks are going to be able to help with effective teaching, which is how we need to be establishing high content knowledge. Some suggestions from the book from IOHSK. He said that given that teaching effectiveness can be differentiated by the quality of teachers, instructional tasks, and task representations, a pressing task for teachers, educators is to improve PST's knowledge of instructional tasks and the form of in-depth content knowledge within PEAT. So with that also being said, the fun discussion that we want to kind of wrap up this critique is patients or participants in this study were mostly male, but in PE, it seemed to be in general that more females are taking on this job. And overall, we agreed as a group that it's important that it should be open to any individual and all individuals to be PE teachers. So prior to beginning their career as a future elementary PE teacher, it's going to be important that we have patience, instructional tasks that are both informative and summative and used correctly, having the right content knowledge, prepared lesson plans, pedagogical content knowledge, relationship building, and just having PEAT programs where you can have connections and build upon your resources and becoming better, as we all are looking to be high content knowledge teachers, even though if we all start someplace as low content knowledge. So
yeah. And another thing to add to that, Cody, right before we wrap up here, another thing that the study that could have been more beneficial is when they had these peer teachings, and now they're given, their refinement, and then they moved and they did their mentor teachings. They weren't assessed afterwards. So it's like they didn't get the chance to assess that information, show their information to their teacher. Is more just kind of at the end. So just thought I'd throw that in there. Really.
I agree. But no, I agree. And so with that being said, pedagogical content knowledge and the critique on this is where we found that we can all improve as teachers at the end of the day. So thank you from Metropolitan State University of Denver.